Everyone, this is Samir. I am a software engineer and have been developing web and mobile applications using JavaScript and Node.js for quite long. So in this video, I'll be explaining about the differences between var, let and const in JavaScript. So a lot of shiny new features came along with the introduction of ES6, which is ES 2015, and since it's 2020, it's assumed that a lot of JavaScript developers have become familiar with and have started using these features. While this assumption might be true, it's still possible that some of these features remain a mystery to some. One of the features that came with ES6 is addition of let and const, which can be used for variable declaration. The question now is what makes them different from our good old var, which has been in use for quite long. So if you are still not clear about this video is for you. In this video, var, let and const will be discussed with respect to their scope, use and hoisting. So var. Before the advent of ES6, var declarations ruled as king. There are issues associated with variable declared with var though. This is why it was necessary for new ways to declare variables to emerge. First though, let us understand var before we discuss one of such issues. So, scope of var. Scope essentially means where these variables are available for use. Var declarations are globally scoped or function or locally scoped. This is globally scoped when a variable var is declared outside a function. This means that any variable that is declared with var outside a function block is available for use for the whole window. Var is function scoped when it is declared within a function. So if you have a variable var hello inside the function, then it is available for use only within that function and can be accessed only within that function. So let's look at this example. Here greeter is globally scoped because it exists outside a function, while hello is function is scoped. We cannot access the variable hello outside of the function. So if we do this, we will get an error which is a result of hello not being available outside the function. So now declaration of var. Var variables can be redeclared and updated. That means that if we do this within the same scope, we won't get an error. And also this, we can also update the variables. So here we have a variable greeter which is again redeclared and it will not throw an error. Also here we have variable greeter which is updated, and these types of operations are permitted in var variable declaration. Now hoisting of var. Hoisting is a JavaScript mechanism where variables and function declarations are moved on the top of their scope before code execution. What this means is that if we do this, then this is interpreted as variable first becoming initialized, and if we log greeter, then it logs undefined. So this variable is initialized with undefined value, and when you try to update its value, then it will get updated, but at this point it will just return undefined. So var variables are hoisted on the top of its scope and initialized with a value of undefined. Now problem with var. There is a weakness that comes with var. I'll use the example to explain this. So here we have a variable greeter and times 4. Now we have if condition. Since times is greater than 3 returns true, greeter is redefined as say hello instead. While this is not a problem if you knowingly want greeter to be redefined, It becomes a problem when you do not realize that a variable greeter has already been defined before. If you have used greeter in other parts of your code, you might be surprised as the output you might get. This might cause a lot of bugs in your code. That is why the let and const is necessary. So let is preferred for variable declaration now. It's no surprise as it comes as an improvement to var variable declarations. It also solves this problem that was raised in the last heading. Let's consider why this is so. So the scope of let is block scoped. A block is chunk of code bounded by parentheses. A block lives in curly braces. Anything within curly braces is a block. So a variable declared in a block with the let is only available for use within that block. Let me explain with an example. Here we have variable greeting defined over here and hello is defined over here. And if we try to access hello from inside, then it will be alright. But if we try to access hello from outside, then we get an error which is hello is not defined. Now declaration of let. Let can be updated but not redeclared. Just like var, a variable declared with let can be updated within its scope. Unlike var, a let variable cannot be redeclared within its scope. So while this will work, the following code will return an error because we can't redeclare the variable greeter. But the same variable can be declared in different scopes. So we have a variable greeting, and if we try to redeclare the same variable greeting inside this scope of if, then it will be alright and it will output as say hello instead. But if we try to output greeting, which is outside the scope of if, then it will output as say hi because we have already declared greeting as say hi over here. So this value will be accessible only within this scope. So why is there no error? This is because both instances are treated as different variables since they have different scopes. This fact makes let a better choice than var. When using let, you don't have to bother if you have used a name for a variable before, as a variable exists only within its scope. So since a variable cannot be declared more than once within a scope, then the problem discussed earlier that occurred with var does not occur. Now hoisting of let. Just like var, let declarations are hoisted on the top. Unlike var, which is initialized as undefined, the let keyword is not initialized. So if you try to access a let variable before its declaration, then it will throw an error. Now let's go to const. Variables declared with the const maintain constant values. Const declarations share some similarities with let declarations. Similar to let, const are block scope. Const variables are block scoped, and like let, if we have hello, then it's accessible only inside the scope of if over here. But if you try to access it from outside, then it's not possible and it will throw an error. Now declaration of const. Const declarations are block scoped like let, and declarations can only be accessed within the block it was declared. Const cannot be updated or redeclared. This means that value of a variable declared with const remains the same within its scope. It cannot be updated or redeclared. So if we declare a variable using const, we cannot re-update its variable. Also, we cannot redeclare the same variable and it will throw an error. Every const declaration therefore must be initialized at the time of declaration. This behavior is somehow different when it comes to object declared with const. While a const object cannot be updated, the properties of these objects can be updated. Therefore, if we declare a const object as this, const object greeting with properties message and times, we cannot update the whole const variable, which is change its object, but we can update the properties of object. Here we have object greeting and its property message can be updated. This will update the value of greeting.message without returning any errors. Hoisting of const. Just like let, const declarations are hoisted on the top but are not initialized. So similar to let, if we try to access the variable greeter, which is a const variable, before its declaration, then it will give an error. So that's it for the differences between the var, let and const. So in summary, var declarations are globally scoped or function scoped, while let and const are block scoped. Var variables can be updated and redeclared within its scope. Let variables can be updated but not redeclared. Const variables can neither be updated nor redeclared. However, const object properties can be updated. All the variables declared using const, let and var are hoisted on the top of their scope, but while var variables are initialized with undefined, let and const variables are not initialized. So if we try to access any variables before its declaration using let and const, then it will throw an error. And finally, while var and let can be declared without being initialized, const must be initialized during declaration. So whenever we declare variables using const, we need to assign a value to it. So that's it for now. If you have any questions, you can leave in the comments below. If you like my video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you soon.